The idea behind the 24-hour economy is to promote around-the-clock economic activity in key sectors to boost productivity, create jobs, and stimulate economic growth. This initiative is aimed at moving beyond traditional working hours and harness the potential of extended operating hours to drive development and competitiveness. Associate Professor of Finance from the University of Ghana Business School, Lord Mensah, says it is prudent that the private sector leads the implementation of the 24-hour economy to make it sustainable.
For infrastructure, we have some key sectors that already we have certain, base of infrastructure that we can leverage on. I mean, when you talk about Temaport, you talk about some of the hospitals, you talk about, government-oriented infrastructure that I think, we can leverage on to start this 24-hour economy. But then, I've been emphasizing on private sector-led, 24-hour economy. If it becomes only government solely, owned, policy, it may not be sustainable. But then I'm looking at a situation where we take advantage of the IMF program, which is limiting government borrowing. In the end, government find a way to reduce, the borrowing, and by so doing, we can read budget and have budget deficit, which will require less financing, and the government being in public always borrowing will be less, and so the banks will now start channeling funds to the private sector, and the private sector will start expanding by employing, and gradually will shift the policy into the hands of the private sector, and that will be sustainable.
On his part, economist and lecturer at the University of Professional Studies, Dr. Peter Boamo Tukono, emphasized the need to intensify security measures as part of implementation plans for the policy.
Well, the need for security in a 24-hour economy cannot be overemphasized. And it is actually going to be the backbone for the survival of the policy. Because a businessman will not invest to run his business 24 hours and would have to deal with security concerns. And for any businessman, the biggest part of their expenditure, or for any surviving economy, the biggest part of their expenditure is security. And so if government is able to offload that portion of a burden to any investor or to any businessman, the businesses would do their 24 hours.
National President of the Graduate Students Association of Ghana, Emmanuel Owusu, has indicated that it is important for stakeholders to develop a comprehensive implementation plan for the policy.
From what we found from our report, we think that the 24-hour economy is something that would help all of us. We found that it's going to stimulate economic growth. It's going to stimulate innovation. We also did find out that it's something that will create jobs. And one thing that came out is that the 24-hour economy is not an event, and so it is a process. And so if you want to achieve a 24-hour economy, you cannot achieve it in 1 year, 2 years. So one of the key highlights of our recommendations was that we should have a strategic plan, say a 5 or 6 year strategic plan on how we're going to have a full-scale 24-hour economy. We also did say that we should have a secretariat set up, probably maybe a 24-hour secretariat and a Ministry of Trade to coordinate the policy. Otherwise, so that it doesn't become just a rhetoric in its nature.
The goal of the 24-hour economy is to optimize the use of resources and infrastructure, enhance economic efficiency, and improve the overall quality of life for citizens. While the specific implementation and impact of this initiative may vary, the concept continues to be a topic of discussion ever since it was mentioned by former President John Mahama.